Hey Reddit, I'm using a throwaway because my real account is followed by, well, by them, my sister. And I just can't deal with that right now. I'm still trying to make sense of everything, and I guess I just need to vent, to put this out somewhere people don't know me. My name? Let's just call me Sarah. I never imagined this betrayal, the single most painful thing that has ever happened to me, would lead to my greatest personal freedom. It sounds crazy, I know. Even saying it feels weird. But it's true. When I first found out that my husband and my sister were involved, I can't even describe the feeling. It's been a few months, but my stomach still knots up just thinking about it. This wasn't just a breakup. It wasn't just finding out my husband was a liar. It was my sister. The person I grew up with, the person I told everything to. The devastation was instant. It was this gut-wrenching physical pain. I honestly thought my life was over. This wasn't just a crack in the foundation. It was the entire building exploding. My whole world, everything I believed in, everything I thought was safe, it was just gone. You see, from the outside, we were the perfect family. We really were. My parents, my sister Emily, and me. We were close, really close. Emily, she was supposed to be my best friend. We were inseparable. Only 2 years apart. We shared a room growing up. We shared secrets. We shared clothes. I honestly believed there was nothing I couldn't tell her. She was my anchor, the person I went to for everything. And my husband, Mark. He was the guy every parent wants their daughter to marry. He was stable, he had a good job, he was kind, and he was always so supportive. At least, that's what I thought. He fit into my family seamlessly. They loved him. He was the perfect son-in-law. But looking back, that's where the problem started, wasn't it? The perfect fit. My family has always been involved. My mom, my dad, and especially Emily, they always had an opinion on everything I did. What job I should take, where Mark and I should live, even stupid things like what I was wearing to a family dinner. I always just saw it as caring. They loved me. They just wanted what was best for me. That's what I told myself. But it was suffocating. Every decision was a committee meeting. And Mark always sided with them. If I ever got upset, if I ever tried to push back and say, this is my decision, it would turn into an argument. And Mark would always be the peacemaker, taking me aside later, telling me I was being too sensitive or overreacting. He'd say, Sarah, they just care about you. Why are you making this so difficult? He wasn't my partner. He was their manager. He was their way of keeping me in line. And I was too blind, too desperate for this perfect family image to see it. The red flags were everywhere. I didn't want to see them. Or maybe I was trained not to see them. It was little things at first. The inside jokes. Mark and Emily would be at a family dinner, and one of them would say something, and they'd both burst out laughing. If I asked what was funny, they'd just look at each other and smile. Oh, it's nothing, Emily would say, patting my arm. Just a stupid thing from when we were kids. But Mark wasn't there when they were kids. It made me feel like an outsider in my own home. Then there was the way they'd team up. It wasn't just Mark siding with my family anymore. It was specifically Mark and Emily siding together. If I had an idea, they'd be the ones to shoot it down together. Oh, Sarah, Emily would say in that gentle voice she always used. That's not very practical, is it? And Mark would nod. She's right, hun. Let's think this through. I remember the late-night chats. I'd come into the living room, and they'd be sitting there, talking quietly. The second I walked in, they'd stop. Everything okay? I'd ask. Yeah, fine, Mark would say, a little too quickly. Emily was just upset about work. I was told not to worry about it. I was told I was being paranoid. The discovery, it wasn't even dramatic. It was quiet and cold, and it happened on a random Tuesday. Mark was in the shower. His phone was on the nightstand, and it lit up. It was a text from Emily. I normally never would have looked. I trusted him. I trusted her. But that night, all those little moments, all those little pricks of paranoia, they just lined up. I picked up the phone. The message wasn't locked. The text from Emily just said, "He can't find out. I love you too, but we have to stop this." My blood went cold. It didn't compute. I love you too? I read it maybe 10 times. My hands were shaking. This had to be a mistake, a joke, something. I was still holding the phone when Mark came out of the bathroom, toweling his hair. He saw my face, and he saw the phone in my hand, and he knew. "Sarah," he started, his voice all wrong. "What is this?" I whispered. I couldn't even yell. What is this, Mark?" And the gaslighting, it was immediate. "What are you doing going through my phone? That's insane." He tried to laugh it off. It's not what you think. It's a joke. You're being crazy." I just kept repeating it. "What is this?" He tried every excuse, that I was misunderstanding, that Emily was just being dramatic, that I was insecure. He threw every single thing back in my face. But I didn't back down. For the first time, I didn't let him tell me I was too sensitive. I just stood there, holding that phone until his lies ran out, and then his face just crumpled. The excuses stopped. He just looked at the floor and said, "It's been going on for 6 months. 6 months. My husband and my sister. I don't really remember the next few hours. It was all just static, numb. I felt utterly and completely alone. The 2 people I would have turned to in a crisis were the crisis. There was no one to call. When I finally did call my parents, I was hysterical. I could barely get the words out. I was sobbing so hard I was choking. And their reaction, that was the second betrayal. There was this long, heavy silence on the phone. Not, "Oh my God, are you okay? I'm coming over right now." Not, "He did what? She did what?" It was, "Oh, Sarah, just, oh, Sarah, this is just awful." They tried to manage the situation. That's the only word for it. My mother's first instinct was damage control. "Okay, let's not fly off the handle," she said. "We need to handle this delicately." Delicately. My world had just exploded, and she was worried about handling it delicately. They came over, and it was like they were trying to mediate a business deal. They minimized my pain. They told me I needed to be the bigger person. They actually said that. She's very emotional right now, Sarah. And Mark is so distraught. You yelling isn't going to help anyone." And then it came, the subtle blame. "You know," my dad said, looking at his hands, "you had been pushing him away a bit, haven't you? You've been so focused on work." My mother chimed in. "And you and Emily have been arguing. You've been so sensitive. You know how she is. She just needs support, and Mark was just trying to." They were making excuses for them. They were blaming me. I just stared at them. And that was the moment. That was the first truly painful realization. Their loyalty wasn't in me. It wasn't to their daughter who had just been shattered. Their loyalty was to the family, to the perfect image, to maintaining the status quo. My pain, my betrayal, It was just an ugly mess they needed to clean up, to smooth over, so we could all go back to pretending. They weren't on my side. They were on the side of the unit. I couldn't stay there. I couldn't be in that house, sleeping in that bed, walking on the floors where they. I packed a bag. Just one. Just one. I didn't even know where I was going. Mark, he just watched me. He didn't try to stop me. He just looked pathetic. Relieved, maybe. I ended up at a cheap motel across town. And the silence, it was agonizing. My phone, which used to be buzzing all the time with family group chats or texts from Emily or Mark, it was just dead. Nothing. No calls from my parents asking if I was okay. No desperate texts from Emily begging for forgiveness. No messages from Mark. Nothing. It was like, by finding out the truth, I was the one who had done something wrong. I was the one who had broken the perfect family, so I was the one who was excommunicated. I was completely, utterly alone, left to process 2 betrayals at once. My husband, the man I vowed to spend my life with. My sister, the person I thought knew me, the person who was supposed to be my other half. I spent days in that motel room, just cycling through rage and this deep, bottomless grief. I couldn't eat. I barely slept. I just kept replaying everything. Every inside joke, every late-night chat, every time they ganged up on me. It was all there, just recontextualized into this horror show. But then, something strange started to happen in that horrible, terrifying silence. It was the first time in my entire life that no one was telling me what to think. No one was there to tell me I was too sensitive. No one was there to manage my feelings. No one was guiding me. There was just me. And my thoughts. And for the first time, away from their constant influence, I started to hear my own voice. It was quiet at first, and it was shaky, but it was there, and it was angry, and it was asking, why? Why did I put up with all of it for so long? And as I sat there, I started reflecting, really reflecting for the first time. I thought about my job. Did I even like it? No. My father had gotten me the interview. Emily had told me it was the sensible choice. Mark had said the benefits were great. I just did it. I thought about our apartment. It was closer to their house than to my office. My mother had found the listing. I thought about the clothes in my closet, the car I drove, the places we went on vacation. How many of those decisions were actually mine? I realized with this sick, hollow feeling. Almost none of them. My entire life had been a series of gentle suggestions and caring advice that I was too weak or too scared to ever say no to. And I saw Mark. I saw him clearly, not as the man I loved, but as an extension of my family's control. He was the final checkpoint, the one who was supposed to keep me in line when I got too sensitive. His betrayal wasn't just an affair. It wasn't just him choosing her over me. It was the final, ultimate act of him aligning with them against me. He didn't just sleep with my sister. He sided with the part of my family that wanted to control me. And in the most brutal way possible, he showed me I was completely and finally on the outside. And that's when the realization hit me. It was so clear. It was like a bell ringing in that silent, awful motel room. They freed me by being so cruel, so absolute in their betrayal. They had accidentally done the one thing I was too weak to do for myself. They had cut the strings, all of them, in one clean, agonizing slice. By pushing me out so completely, they had forced me to be free. It wasn't easy. That first month, it was hell. I'm not going to lie. Rebuilding your life from scratch is hard work. I filed for divorce. I found a tiny one-bedroom apartment on the other side of town. It's not much, but it's mine. I started therapy. That was a huge step. Just talking to someone who wasn't part of my family, someone who listened and validated my feelings. Slowly, I started making new friends. People from work I'd never hung out with before. People from a yoga class I started. And the peace, it's profound. The first time I bought a piece of furniture, a bright yellow armchair, without asking for anyone's opinion, I almost cried. It was just a chair, but it was my choice. I'm making decisions for myself now, big ones, small ones. What to eat for dinner, what to watch on TV, whether I want to quit my sensible job and find one I actually like. And that's why I'm thankful. I am thankful for what they did. It sounds crazy, but I'm thankful for the pain. Because that pain was the price for my own life. It was the entry fee. I'm thankful they showed me their true colors, all at once, in such an undeniable way. If they hadn't, I'd still be there. I'd still be that sensitive girl, managed and suffocated, wondering why I was so unhappy all the time. As for them, I don't talk to them, any of them. Mark, Emily, my parents, I've blocked them all. Is it hard? Yes, there are days when I miss the idea of what I thought I had. It's hard to grieve the loss of your entire family. But the peace I have now, this quiet, steady peace in my little apartment, it is worth so much more than that toxic, suffocating love ever was. So, yeah. That's my story. The betrayal I was so sure would end me, it was actually my beginning. It was the most brutal, devastating thing I've ever gone through, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone. But it's also the single event that saved my life. I guess that's what I wanted to share. Sometimes your deepest wounds, the breaks you think you can never recover from, are the very things that allow you to finally heal into